Hi everybody, this is the Baseball Hut, the amazing, spectacular, terrific, the great one, the people's champion, your host, the Hut, and welcome back to the Baseball Hut too, and hope you like this video and subscribe. I'm going to talk about the Mets and David Stearns and who they're going to bring in to not only be the general manager, but the manager. We got a new name that's emerged. This is using two parts. I'm going to talk about the general manager first, and there's been a report out by Bob Nightingale. But before we get into this video, I need you to not only subscribe to this channel, I also need you to subscribe to a third channel that I have called the Prospect Hut. And the Prospect Hut, I talk about Mets prospects and some Major League prospects here and there, I think, along the way. But you need to, I'll put the link in the description. I just want to mention that. I'm trying to get it monetized very quickly. It is from Mesmerized Online. This is according to what they say and what Bob Nightingale is saying. According to Bob Nightingale of USA Today, there are two candidates emerging for the New York Mets' next general manager. Two names mentioned in the report published Sunday are former Philadelphia Phillies general manager Matt Klentak and former Houston Astros general manager James Click. Klentak served as the Phillies general manager from 2015 to 2020 before he stepped down from the position. Over that time, the Phillies logged 5 below 500 seasons and 1 500 season. I don't know, that should go that way. Granted, when he took over, the Phillies were mired in a deep rebuild, and Klentak helped improve the team's record virtually every year during his reign. Prior to the Phillies, the 43-year-old worked in the Colorado Rockies Baseball Operations Department, in Major League Baseball's Labor Relations Department with the Baltimore Orioles as Director of Baseball Operations, and then was hired in 2011 to be the Assistant General Manager for the Los Angeles Angels. As for James Click, he currently works for the Toronto Blue Jays as a vice president role. Previously, he was the Houston Astros GM from 2020 until 2022. Obviously, he took over for Jeff Luhnow, the disgraced general manager of the Astros. During his tenure, the Astros appeared in 2 World Series, winning the Fall Classic last year. Prior to that, he was with the Tampa Bay Rays organization for years, before becoming Vice President of Baseball Operations in 2017. With the hiring of President of Baseball Operations David Stearns, the Mets are now currently and reportedly in the market for a general manager to work under Stearns. Obviously, former general manager Billy Epler was believed set to fulfill that role. However, in recent days, he resigned from the position. Now, this is an interesting thing, this thing about Click. Because Click, I think there was a little bit of an issue with him and the ownership. That's why he stepped down. So he is a guy to look at, because he was able to manage a very good team, and they won again last year. So that is a guy the Mets should really target. If this report is true, he's a good candidate. He's a very good candidate. So we'll keep our eye out for him. And I guess also in this report from USA Today by Bob Nightingale, he reported that Joe Maddon wants to manage again and is interested in the Mets managerial opening. As you know, he managed the Angels from 2020 till 2022. He got fired last June. Last year. He's a 3-time manager of the year. He's managed the Rays. He managed the Cubs. He also managed the Angels prior to that. He's 69 years old. He'd be one of the older candidates that we've heard who's been mentioned. He's a bit of a self-promoter. I am not the biggest fan of his. I think he's extremely overrated as a manager. If it wasn't for a rain delay in Game 7 of the 2016 World Series, the Cubs were going to lose that series. They were going to lose that game, and they were going to lose that series primarily because he burned out Aroldis Chapman in that game. And if it wasn't for the rain, it basically killed all of the Indians' momentum. That rain delay probably changed the entire history of two franchises. Because if you think about it, if the Indians had won that game, had won the World Series, they might not have changed their name. They might have kept that name of the Indians. And obviously, with the Cubs winning, they finally won the first time in 108 years. So that rain delay was probably the most historic rain delay in baseball history, to be honest with you. And as you know, Cleveland has not won a World Series since 1948, so they're going a long time now without winning a World Series. But Joe Maddon was the manager of that team. He was managed obviously the Rays and the Angels prior to that. But we have quite an interesting list. And part of this list that I have here is my list. This is my list of managers' names that are going to be popping up over the next few weeks. It'd be interesting to see if they hire a manager first or they hire a general manager first. They should hire a general manager first. I'm telling you, the worst thing you can do is hire the manager before the general manager. That way there's no collaboration with the manager and the upper management of this team, which is the president of baseball operations, David Stearns. Hire a general manager. Everybody on TV, the media saying hire a manager. No, hire the general manager. Worst thing you could do is have a relationship between the owner, between the general manager and the manager being a problem. Okay? That means the manager can step over on his shoes every so often to talk to the president of baseball operations. Don't do that. Hire a general manager first. But these are the names that we're going to hear about. And some of these names I'm just going to throw out there. Some of them. Obviously, the big name that's going to be out there and probably the most likely to get the job is Craig Counsell, due to the fact that he'd been with the Brewers all those years along with David Stearns. Now, David Stearns did not hire Craig Counsell. The general manager before that, Doug Melvin, hired Craig Counsell. A couple things about Craig Counsell. He has been on small market. He's been a manager on a small market team. He's played on small markets at Arizona, Milwaukee. He's not been in a big spot, in a big place. Just keep that in mind. I don't know how he's going to be here. So that's the one caveat to his success here, because it's very different here. I done a video a few days ago about how WFN's already called for the firing of David Stearns, and he's only been on the job when they said this for 4 days. So for 4 days, they're already calling for him to be fired. But along with Counsell, we'll hear about, and we've heard about Joe Madden, obviously, in this video, Carlos Beltran, the former Met and former manager of the team for 2 months prior to the 2020 season. He got fired because Will Ponce got mad that he lied to them in an interview for the job when the whole thing, the scandal with Houston. He's in the Mets front office right now. Be interesting to see what kind of fallout we have with him, because he came here because of Billy Epler. Billy Epler was an assistant general manager with the Yankees when Beltran was playing for the Yankees. Walt Weiss, who's currently with the Braves, I'd stay away from him. He's another small-time guy that's been in small markets with the A's, and of course with Colorado. He was the manager of the Colorado Rockies. Didn't do a good job there. They had a bad team. I'm not big on him. Keep him away from. I don't want any Braves here. Joe Espada, who's been a bench coach with the Astros for many years. His name's been thrown out there. He was up for the job before Buck Showalter got the job. Eric Chavez, who's in the Mets coaching staff. I don't know if you want to hire him, considering they're coming off such a bad year, and he was the bench coach on this team. That should be of note. Here's a name that we haven't heard much of. I think this is not a bad name. This is a manager that's won a World Series. And he's managed in 3 places so far, and that's A.J. Hinch. I don't know what his contract status is with Detroit, but they're a bad team. But we know that he can manage a good team when put in that position. He will not get in the way of his players. That's a guy to keep an eye on. And obviously, he has connections to David Stearns. He was the manager in Houston when Stearns was working as an assistant general manager in Houston. So that's a name to keep an eye on. Brad Ausmus, the former manager of the Detroit Tigers. I'm just throwing his name out there because I'm sure he wants to manage again. Dusty Baker. There seems to be a bit of a problem with him and the new general manager, Dana Brown. I don't think Dana really likes him too much. And obviously, he didn't hire him. It's very important, the general manager hiring the manager. I'm going to throw a name out here which no one has talked about. John Gibbons, the former manager of the once, I wonder if he'll be manager again of the Blue Jays. But he's been manager of the Blue Jays twice. And he's had very good success there. And he was an 86 Met, but I don't think he'll get the job. But I put his name there anyway because he's got a lot of experience and still fairly young. Gabe Kapler, I don't think he would be good here. His name has been mentioned. Ryan Flaherty, I guess he's the bench coach in San Diego. He's one of the younger guys. I don't know about him. Obviously, that situation in San Diego cannot be ignored in terms of how bad it is there. Pat Murphy, who's the bench coach for Craig Counsell, but he's 62 years old, 64 years old. He's old. Yeah, that's about almost the same age as Buck Showalter. And the last name which I've heard is Clayton McCullough. He's the bench coach for the Dodgers. He works under Dave Roberts. But the obvious ones to me, the guys I think would be very interesting going forward is Craig Counsell, A.J. Hinch, because you want to find connections of that Stearns would be interested. I'll put Beltran here because he was named the manager, and he's a very impressive guy. To me, those would be the three guys, in my view, that would be interesting to me. I know it'd be interesting to you, but it would be very interesting to me, these three particular candidates. So we did a good job with the last candidate. The first year, the Mets were terrific in 2022. They won 101 games, but obviously with all these pitching issues and obviously some issues in the clubhouse, like there didn't seem this urgency to win. Buck didn't do a good job the second year. But these three guys could be interesting pieces. Two of them have experience. One of them doesn't have experience. Although he was manager for 2 years, but didn't manage a game. But let me know what you think about this video. And of course, please subscribe to the Baseball Hut too. But more importantly, again, I'll put in the description of this video the Prospect Hut. I'm trying to get monetized. I'm trying to get down subs. Hit that subscribe button. And thank you for watching this video. And I'll see you later.